everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Can everyone hear us okay in the back, or hear me, I guess, okay in the back? All right. Well, I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. This is a great crowd. What a wonderful turnout we have. My name is Matt Mueller. I'm the town manager for the Town of Little Elm. And we're very excited to host this event tonight and bring some of our partners together in the region just to kind of talk about some of the things going on in the 380 corridor, answer some questions, and just hopefully provide some great information. We've got representatives from TxDOT here this evening. We've got representatives from Little Elm PD, Aubrey PD, Prosper PD, Denton ISD, I believe, has a representative or should be having one come in very shortly. Just to kind of, so that we can kind of talk about, whatever might be on your mind. Before we get started, you might see this QR code. We're trying to be very fancy and high tech, so if anyone wants to use that, that will go directly to her email. This is Caitlin Biggs, our Director of Administrative Services. That will go directly to her email. If you have a question that you'd like to ask tonight, or if maybe you're just not comfortable asking it tonight, we can answer it for you once we receive it. But that is really the goal, is just to kind of talk about all things 380. And just kind of answer some questions again about what's going on. I'd like to take a moment and introduce some of our elected officials. We have our council member, Michelle Hambrick, who's one of our at-large council members. Jamel Johnson, who's another one of our at-large council members, also serves as our mayor pro tem. And then Andrew Evans, who is our District 5 council member. He's the district representative that represents you. And then, as I said, we've got folks from TxDOT, we've got folks from DISD, we've got folks from the town. But would like to introduce Commissioner Ryan Williams to say a few words. Commissioner Williams has been a great partner for this region and has been very involved in a lot of the improvements and a lot of the great things that are happening now. So I'd just like to turn over to you for a few minutes, Commissioner, to talk to the group.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come here to speak this evening. Like you said, we've got a great partnership with Little Elm and actually TxDOT, which is so imperative to make sure that things like this, we cooperate to get things accomplished. I know 380's been a beating. I sat on it for 35 to 40 minutes to get here tonight. It's unacceptable. Everybody agrees. There's not one person to point a finger at up here whatsoever. All we're trying to do is make it a better situation than it is right now. They're going to talk a little bit more about 380 itself. I can kind of tell you a little bit about the things that we're doing off of 380 to try to help the people that live in and around 380 navigate it a little better than what it is now. We all have a lot of little small country roads that aren't going to handle the amount of traffic we have, along with the amount of development that we're all seeing. We are so far behind the 8 ball, and all I can do is apologize from the county's perspective. When I got elected to this position, one of the main things I was focusing on is making sure that we improve the amount of roads that we have within Denton County, especially around 380, because it's horrible. So the bottom line, there's no excuse. It is what it is. Let's just face the facts. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight.
But we're gonna, before we turn it over to TxDOT to kind of talk, we'll start off sort of talking about an overview of the 380 improvements that are ongoing right now, and then move on to some of those other improvements in the area that Commissioner Williams just mentioned. And then we'll move on and have kind of a discussion of safety, patrol in the area, different things that the various police agencies in the area kind of look at. But kind of just wanted to show a map of 380. And kind of the area with the Town of Little Elm, the area of 380 that we're primarily focused on is generally between 423 and 720. Because this is the area where Little Elm has some city limits, we've got some jurisdictional boundaries, but I always like to pull this map out because it kind of tells a story about some of the complexities that we deal with in this corridor that other areas, other cities or other areas in the region don't necessarily have some of these challenges. And the first that you'll see is that there are several different jurisdictions. I know the map gets a little messy, but if you can kind of follow the lines, everything that's outlined that's kind of clear, that is the Town of Little Elm city limits. We made the map, so we got to be the clear side. But, if you look kind of in the other areas, again, this points out just some of the challenges. We've got the city of Aubrey, their extraterritorial jurisdiction. We've got the Town of Prosper, some of the Town of Prosper's extraterritorial jurisdiction. And if you're not familiar with that term, ETJ, what that means is it's an area that's somewhat in a city's boundaries, but it's not actually annexed in a city. It's technically in the county, but it's kind of, for lack of a better term, future area for the agency. And so you've got the town of Prosper, you've got the city of Frisco, you've got Frisco West, which is its own special district. You've got Paloma Creek South and North, which is the special district. You've got Savannah over here that's served by the county, or that's in Denton County. So you can just see the different jurisdictions that all kind of come together in this 380 corridor. None of you should care about that, right? The only people who care about the lines on the map are those of us who are providing the services. And that's kind of where the town of Little Elm tried to step in about 10 years ago with a strategic goal in our strategic plan. Since we were the agency that had a lot of the frontage and a lot of the corridor in our city limits, we said we want to try to be a strategic partner to bring other agencies together, work within the various entities that serve this corridor, and try to bring some consolidation of services so that the people who live out here, shop out here, visit this region, or travel this region can have some sort of consistency. So again, the jurisdictional lines, that's a little bit of a challenge in this corridor. The other challenge that you'll see, right here is 380 itself. And the thing that is unique between 720 and 423 that doesn't exist in the same way in a lot of other areas of 380 is the lack of east-west bypasses. Because down to the south, you've got Lake Louisville, and to the north, you've got the floodplain for Lake Louisville. So that is one of the reasons why this portion here between 720 and 423 is some of the most congested area that you'll see along the 380 corridor. I think between Navo and 423, I think our last traffic counts, Jeanette, had us at what, like 65,000 cars per day. And that's one of the busiest areas on 380 corridor. And part of that is because there's a lack of east-west bypasses just because of the nature of the topography and the geography in the area. So these are some of the things that exist in the region that we're constantly trying to work to overcome, strategize to make improvements that make the situation better for the folks who travel this corridor, live in the region, come to the businesses here. And what I'm very excited about right now is what's causing us all a lot of hassle, and that's the 380 construction project. As Commissioner Williams said, it's undersized. It's been undersized for years. It's something that I don't know that anyone expected the pace of growth to happen like it has in this region and beyond, particularly going north over the last 7 or 8 years. It's like nothing that anywhere in the nation has ever really seen. It's one of the fastest growing regions in the entire United States. And we've got this challenging road that needs to be improved. And although that's been a project that's been in process for some time, it doesn't always move at the same speed as private development, and that's unfortunate. But what I can say is that we've had great partners with TxDOT, we've had great partners with the county, we've had great partners with the city of Frisco, Prosper, Aubrey, Crossroads, all the entities that kind of in the region, and we've all worked together over the last 7, 8 years trying to get this project going. And so the bad news is, TxDOT will tell you, we're not quite there. We've got a little bit of time to go. But the good news is that it's happening. The construction is underway. And we know that there's an end in sight. And I think once that is complete, we're going to see a whole different dynamic out here in the corridor. We're going to see for those residents who may feel displaced, like maybe you don't have a sense of belonging to the community you live in, I think this is going to help with that, because it's going to have divided medians. We're going to have street signs that reflect the community that you live in, whether it's Prosper, Frisco, Little Elm, wherever it is. So I think this corridor is really going to bring some very, very nice improvements to the area that are going to help tremendously as we continue forward. So to kind of bump over to TxDOT and talk about the specifics of the project, I'm going to turn it over to Travis Campbell with TxDOT to talk about what's going on.
Thank you very much, Matt. All right, it looks like we're loaded up. So good evening, everybody. We appreciate y'all having us. My name is Travis Campbell. I work for TxDOT. I'm out of our Dallas district. I'm our Director of Transportation, Planning, and Development. Really happy to be here. A little over a year ago, I was the Denton County area engineer, so really, really happy to be back in Denton County. I can't say it in front of everybody, but Denton County is my favorite county, but don't tell all the other 7 counties in the Dallas district. That makes me happy. But I am glad to be here, and one thing I wanted to hit right at the beginning is you've heard a lot from both the county and the city about the partnership. The Dallas district is 7 counties. We've got Denton, Collin, Dallas, Rockwall, Kaufman, Ellis, Navarro. And the dynamic you see in Denton County is very unique. And I know you keep hearing that word partnership, but the alignment that TxDOT, the state, has with the county and the cities is imperative to seeing these projects move forward. And there's nowhere better than in Denton County. It is one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. And so we have got a tremendous amount of work going on in this county. So I don't want to understate, the partnerships, and I know you keep hearing that word over and over, but it is really a big deal. When you talk about these roadway projects, especially these large roadway projects like 380, there's not one agency that can do it. We've got to have that coordination with all agencies, local, state, and federal, and utility companies and developments and the school districts, and everybody's a part of the puzzle to putting these things together. So I definitely wanted to triple down on that, and I know you keep hearing it, but it is really important and is very unique as this area continues to grow, and you all live here, so you know what's going on, because 380 is not the only road in the area. So we'll keep on going. I want to hit this briefly. This is probably the most important thing that we talk about every day. This is In the Streak. This is the campaign to end the streak of deathless days on our roadway. So this is not something you've heard of. It's been since November 2000 that we've had a fatality on our roadway network in Texas every one of those days. And so sit and think about that, how many years that's been every single day. And so one of the campaigns that we're working is to end that streak. And so that's what that means. If you haven't had a chance to look into this, I highly encourage you to take 10 minutes to Google In the Streak and understand what that campaign means. It's incredibly important to us. But some of the easy things you can do at home: talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your church groups. Buckle up every time, without exception. Don't ever leave the house without buckling up. Follow the speed limit, follow the signs, pay attention, stay off of your phone, distracted drivings. These are all the things that we can do together to end that streak. And so we're working together with local agencies and law enforcement and everybody to try to end that streak together. So again, take 10 minutes. It's well worth your time to go do some research. We'll come back to that if we've got some more time. There's a video. We got a link to it at the end. So we wanted to stay on the theme of tonight with some safety components. Talk about the project here in a minute. But we've got some high mast lighting, and so what that means is as we construct this project, we'll be installing the lighting, and we're looking at implementing that sooner than the construction is completed. So the picture in the middle is a high mast, what we call a high mast. That's the really tall lights that you see, not just the continuous street lights. These are the tall ones that light up the whole area. This one's at 720. I may look at my construction project manager down here, but we're working with the city to get that one illuminated, and I see Weston shaking his head too. So these are coming as we continue to work and complete the job. Driving down here, I saw there's continuous lighting on the bridge. This is where we're talking about that cooperation and coordination with the cities. The cities have been very proactive. So again, getting into nuts and bolts, but we work with the local government to light these projects, and everything Little Elm and East has been very proactive in getting the project lit, and it's being constructed with the project. So it's really important. We'll get this corridor lit as we've work to complete construction. So this picture's in Collin County. We just want to give you the envy, right? This is what we're going to. This is what we've got today with that continuous turn lane. The other good place to go see, if you're heading into Denton, that job is almost complete, where we went from Denton to basically US 377, where we're installing the raised median in the middle. We've got those pedestrian elements on the outside. That speed limit has been reduced to 50. It was the construction speed limit that has recently been posted as the permanent speed limit. And so that job is wrapping up, converting it from a rural to an urban facility, which is exactly what we're doing out here. So just kind of a sneak peek. We'll see that median when we're constructed, again, which helps kind of direct that traffic where it needs to go. Moving on here. So here's a picture of the grade separations. We've got 5. 720, you've got Navo, Legacy, Championship, and then Teal. No, Teal is the same, 423. So there's 5 of them. And so what this is, if you go into Collin County, just across the county line, you've got DNT that goes up and over. You've got 289 Preston that's going up and over. And so what that means, if you're on the main lanes of 380, you're going to go up and over these interchanges. So you will no longer sit at a signal. If you're bypassing, you go through. And then kind of similar to a freeway, you will exit to a frontage road. Similar, it's a ramp. You exit down to the signal, and from there you'll hit your cross street.
Would you go over where those overpasses are going to be?
Yes, ma'am. So starting west to east, let's see, it's been a while since I've done FM 720, and then you'll hit, I'm sorry, Navo. Yeah. Yep, FM 423, Championship or Teal, those are the same road, and then Legacy. Yep. And so
And are you
Correct.
gonna have stoplights instead of?
Yep.
You're gonna have everybody getting to the stoplight that much faster?
Yeah, there will still be signals, you're absolutely correct, along that corridor. But these larger intersections with the higher ADT, the higher traffic, we'll see those get those bypasses with this project. This is some key staff. Again, we'll flash this on the screen. We've got our project engineer, project managers here, and our area engineer is Amanda Miller. She's there. And then we also got our public information officer. Let me hit it. Keep going here. Key staff, Zachary Construction. Zachary is the contractor for us. With project manager is Kareem. Let's see here. This has got a lot of words on it. I won't spend a lot of time here, but this is no surprise. This is just saying Denton County is exploding with growth. We're seeing folks continuing to move here, and just kind of the why of the project. That's something that's been talked about for many years as we've progressed the plans and the schematic and ultimately clearing the utilities and getting to construction. But again, increasing mobility across the capacity of the project, reducing congestion. We want to bring the roadway to current safety design standards and improve pedestrian access. So that's really important to us. The whole corridor will get pedestrian accommodations from start to finish. And a big part of that, like at Navo, for instance, you'll have that grade separation, which means your main lane traffic will go up and over, and your pedestrian accommodations for Navo will go under the bridge. So your pedestrians will be able, they won't interact with that main lane traffic anymore. You'll go under and be alongside Navo. And so that'll be at all of those 5 grade separations. All right. Again, this is kind of just a map. This shows those 5 intersections. The red is what is wrapping up completion now, and blue is what we're in construction. Obviously, what we're talking about here this evening. This was about $140 million project with Zachary Construction. This is not quite outdated. Okay? I think we got an old version here, so we're going to keep moving on. This is kind of a schematic, but what we really wanted to show here at the top in the proposed typical section was the purple is the extra capacity. So that's the biggest takeaway. When we're done, we're going to have 3 lanes each direction. Today there's 2 lanes each direction. There will be 3 lanes each direction with the turn lanes at the median for those intersections. And the schematic kind of showing the picture at the bottom. This is where we have what we keep calling the grade separation. This is where your main lanes are up in the air, and you've got your frontage roads down beside it with your sidewalks on either side of it. So this is getting an example of what those 5 will look like. Just another picture. Again, this is in Collin County. You kind of can see, wanted to put these 2 together so you can see those main lanes are up, and then your frontage roads go down around it. Okay, so what we're showing here, we're wrapping up phase 1, so that's where you're seeing most of the construction on the south side of the roadway. We're expecting that switch to phase 2, and there's been pieces that have already gone into phase 2 already. You've seen that at 720 in some of the areas we've been able to accelerate. But we should be switching the rest of that to phase 2 in March to April timeframe, and so that's kind of, if we're looking down the road, we're looking toward Collin County in this picture with all the construction on the south side of the road. So again, that's all the work that we're doing on the south side. There's Championship Drive just as an example.
I'm sorry, Travis.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you're saying the switch, we'll all go on the
You'll
2
go
or
on-
4 new lanes,
correct.
and then you're going to tear
Yeah.
up everything
We'll
on the north.
push everybody. Now, capacity will still be 2 each direction because we'll push everybody to the south, and then we'll start working on the north. Yes, ma'am. Yep, and that's what this picture is showing. We'll have 2 lanes each direction, so not reducing that down, but what we've got today, and that will allow us to work on the north side of the roadway. Now, what we've done, and again, 720 is a good example. We've been able to accelerate some of those pieces of work to let us get to those bridges. So that's really a big boost in how much construction we're able to output is getting to those interchanges in the middle. But to do that, we got to push the traffic out to either side of those intersections. So we've been able to accelerate work around those interchanges. We've continued to meet with a contractor and looking to accelerate more of those. So we're hopeful to work with a contractor and to be implementing some more of those interchanges where you'll see some of those bridges coming up sooner. Phase 3, again, no surprise here, we've got the outside built, pushing everybody to the outside. That allows us to get in the middle and build those interchanges as well as that raised median. And then there's the interchange there. So I think I'm close. So here's some of the outreach. Again, this is we meet with the local governments and the counties. We meet with them monthly, kind of give them updates of where we're at. We keep in regular communication. We've got the QR code, and Mike, where's the QR code? Sends them to the government.
QR code sends you to Gov Delivery, and it's specific project updates
To this
for
project.
the 380. Unlike some of the others in the Twitter and Facebook,
Yeah.
those are generally kind of overall.
Yep. So this is kind of a list of what we're doing. We have our construction kickoff. We've got our portable message boards. That's the boards you see with the words on it. We continue to put those out weeks in advance of like traffic. We keep talking about a traffic switch where you're changing configuration. We'll put that on a board so you know it's coming. We do a lot of press releases. There's drivetexas.org. Again, that's going to be statewide. But you can get to 380 from there. We send these press releases out to the county and the cities ahead of anything, so that they help us out a lot by getting this message out to their Facebook groups and their Twitter. And we've got Twitter, so we're doing our best to get out there as many avenues as we can.
On some of these intersections, particularly like G and 380, you're almost at the intersection before you see the signs that tell you where the lanes are. And inevitably there's somebody in the wrong lane.
Yeah, and then
So
yeah.
if we could get those back a little further,
Okay.
that would be helpful.
So our construction, Mike, we'll take notes. Let's review. Those are what we call our lane assignment signs. So let us take a look and see if there's any that can be pulled back to kind of give a little bit of.
I mean, it's great to have them up front.
Yes,
too,
ma'am.
but
Yeah, absolutely.
need a warning.
So that is what I had, and I don't know, Matt, did you want to take questions now for TxDOT, or did you want to finish?
You know, I think maybe since we're talking about the 380 corridor right now, maybe some light we will get into more safety, patrol, enforcement, some of those things when we introduce our police chief. But maybe if there's any questions that are specific to the 380 construction project that's occurring now, if we could have a few minutes
Sure.
with those, and then we're going to transition and kind of between Travis, Commissioner Williams, and our town engineer Wesley Brandon, talk about some of the other sort of roads that are in the future around this area that aren't necessarily 380. So maybe right now we can take a few questions just specifically to this construction project.
Yeah.
What is the timeline?
Timeline, so we're looking to switch right now. We've got about another year for phase 2 and a year for phase 3. So we're looking to wrap those up. We're looking at opportunities to accelerate those bridges because that's really for the bulk of the work. So we're switching to phase 2 in the March, April timeframe of 24, and we've got to wrap up phase 2 and 3. But we're looking to combine some of that phase 3 work into phase 2. We're meeting every day with the contractor. In fact, we had a lot of folks out there today looking at some pretty unique options to try to accelerate some of that work. And so we're wrapping up again. We're meeting again with them another 2 weeks to keep that momentum moving forward. Because 720, we were very successful in bringing a lot of that bridge work up. Yes, sir. I don't know. We'll go here.
Will these surface roads be completed north and south side before the grade separation begins?
So most of them, yes. Like the intersection itself, we may look at doing some unique things to kind of accelerate that work, in which case that answer may change. But the original plan is to finish both of them on each side of it and then build the bridges in the middle. But again, we've kind of been thinking outside of the box to pull some of those bridges up, and so that may change. But again, we communicate with the city and make sure that all of our partners and stakeholders are aware of some changes like that. Yes, ma'am. You want me to just call?
Yeah,
on
go for it.
Matt?
Yeah, you go for it.
I'll just keep working my way around.
So you're saying this bridge over a Novel, and then it ends at Paloma Creek Boulevard, the stoplights there.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. There will still be signals along that corridor.
Have you
So the
seen-
Paloma,
have you seen those-
the Nebo Bridge is there is a significant number of houses on the north side of the road, and so the county partnered with the state to add Nebo as a grade separation, so those people that can't use the bus to get to Braswell will have a crossing that is signalized as opposed to having to cross the main lane. So Nebo was there for a pedestrian safety movement.
So the Paloma Creek Road coming out of there, we still got to dodge the rock holders that are still flying down off your bridge there.
Right, but there will be that signal at Paloma.
Signals
still.
don't mean
Yeah.
to these rock holders and everything. Why didn't they put it all the way over, straight over and down by?
Right. And this project has the 5. We're continuing to look at 380 as a corridor and seeing what improvements need to continue to be made. But that naval will be in this project along with that intersection. Yes, sir.
I was going to share, because I've seen a lot of issues with the preparation in the temporary areas. So for instance, I think anybody that's going to head north on Navo and turn right on 380 right now, if you do that, you essentially have to go into 380 and then turn right the way that they've created the asphalt to protect you from the new concrete. So if you actually take a less than a 45-degree angle when you turn right, there is about 8 to 12 inch drop. So you'll see, I mean, anybody that's in a car.
Yeah.
So what is TechStock doing? And I've seen that on 423 and 380 also. What are y'all doing on the preparation for those temporary turn lanes?
Let us look. We'll review those drop-offs. Again, our construction team is here, so let us take notes so we can get out there and take a look and see
go
exactly
test it today,
what you're talking about. And we've got folks that are reviewing those drop-offs and making sure they're protected, because they've got to have that work area, but we've also got to make sure those drop-offs have that sufficient slope. So we'll review. And so you said Navo, and what were the other two?
423 and Navo are the two that I'm most familiar with.
423 and Navo. So again, our construction teams are taking notes so they can review.
My car's real friendly with the one at 423.
Yeah, let me go to the back. Ma'am, Grace Sweater, I think.
What's going to happen to the side roads, like the entrance to the parking lot at Braswell and the senior lot, and then of course the gazebo and the new McDonald's and all that stuff?
Yep.
What happens? What is the continuation?
So we'll maintain access to those businesses or driveways or whatever they will be. We'll work closely with the school. Sometimes we work with Braswell recently to open one of their new drives, but we'll make sure, sometimes we can close them if they've got multiple accesses. That allows them to continue their operation, and that allows us to get in and construct quicker and get out. Otherwise, we'll phase them, and so you may be shifted around, and it may be built in 2 or 3 pieces.
What about the end? Like, will it be on an access road we come out from those ends? We come out of the parking lot at Braswell, we're
Yeah.
making a right-hand turn. Will we be in an access road? We will no longer be able to turn left out of something like that?
So it depends on where you're at. If you're at Braswell, you will most likely be on that ramp that you'll have to go eastbound, and then if you want to go westbound, go and turn around, unless you go back to Navo, where you could use the light. And so it depends on where you're at. Some places there will be that raised median, which is really that big safety improvement for this project. So depending on where you're at, you'll have the median left turn lane, go to a signal, or you may have to go and turn around somewhere.
McDonald's, people turning left out of there will no longer be a problem because they will not be able to turn left out of there?
Is McDonald's on the north side? Remind me. Yeah, they'll be on a westbound ramp, and so they won't be interacting with that Braswell traffic.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate seeing the work happening all night over the weekends. That's great. But I had a question about 423 and 380. The lights going north and south into Frisco, out of Frisco, into.
Yes, sir.
We live in Union Park, so we're on there all the time.
Yep.
Sometimes 3 cars can get through.
Yes.
Sometimes 4 if we're really lucky.
Yeah.
That's a.
And part of the problem is people coming west on 380 or coming north on 423. They block the intersection.
Yeah, they sit in the way, yeah. So that's probably the $1 million question. We get folks reaching out to us, and we appreciate it. I will say kind of the answer, well, there's kind of 2 parts. One, so as we are moving folks around through traffic control and shifting the lanes and trying to get these turn lanes in operation, we do have to fine tune those signals. So we want to hear from you. We want to know when things don't look right so we can get our traffic engineers, because we try to time it right. We'll put it in a temporary configuration. We'll work with the cities and their traffic engineers. We've got our traffic engineers. We'll all try, but sometimes they got to be fine tuned after we've moved folks around. But the other reality is a lot of these north-south roadways, they've got similar traffic to 380. And so that's where every second you take from one, or you give to one, takes from the other. And so it's a dance. And I really don't, shouldn't probably be saying to dance as an engineer, but it's a fine dance to try to figure out how the best way to get the most amount of traffic through these signals. And so
I think I've seen about four folks that have had, let's take these 4 questions and then move on, and we can certainly come back with this. So let's just kind of go this way. We've got the gentleman with the glasses, the gentleman with the green shirt, the gentleman that has the best shirt on with the best team in America on it, and then this lady right here. So let's start, let's do these 4 and then.
Actually, 2 points. Doe Creek. There's a lot of people that turn left out of Doe Creek into 380 during peak traffic. times. Causes all kinds of chaos, especially when we get into the center area
Yeah.
there, suicide lane. It just disrupts everything else, the normal flow. Can something be done about that? Can you put up some kind of a barrier to force them to go east? And then the
Let's
second-
look, point taken, again, our construction folks will take a look and we'll circle
You
back.
just go that area right around 5, 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yes, sir. Yep.
The other thing is, on the 423 exchange there, 423 and 380, what's the holdup? I mean, I see all along that area, there's areas that
Yeah.
have like holes, incomplete areas in that road. Why is that?
So the holes in a lot of what you're seeing, and it's not the exciting part, right? It's not the bridge that's going up, but a lot of it is drainage. So there is a tremendous amount of drainage on this corridor that has to go in before anything can be done. And so a lot of this time that we've seen up front, and it'll be the same thing on the other side, is we've got to get the underground drainage in first. It's the lowest, it goes below our pavement. So it's got to go first. So a lot of times they'll work in an area 100, 200 feet long, but then they cover it right back up. So it doesn't look so much like they were there, but they've got to get all that drainage in, and then they've got to build their base foundation. So you may just see dirt and grading as they bring that pavement structure up. Again, pushing that traffic out though, that's going to bring in the bridge. The bridge, look, we've been doing this for the bridge is always the exciting part for me. It goes up fast, it's interesting to watch, and so that's the part that we're looking forward to, and it should be very soon on 720, and again, trying to get some of these others pulled up.
That 423 area, where
Yep.
we only have a one lane going south.
Yeah.
That's a shortage, especially when there's a whole big area there that's
Yep.
not been done, anything done with.
Sir, thank you very much.
Yeah, the Naval Road deal that you've got here, you haven't finished the intersection up. You've got that section east of the street, instead of finishing up. They've left it unfinished there.
Yes.
And it puts a huge amount of traffic back down on Naval Road that turns into Little Paloma. We've got all of the truck traffic for the Denton school system down there. They're building a new elementary school.
They are.
And all of the houses, all of that truck traffic off of 380 is coming down that street. I have to sit there and clean up my house every day, positioning all of the pictures in the house, because all of the vibration that these trucks are causing, because you guys won't finish that section up and finish Magnolia, so that those people that are going down to the school and that construction in there should be, in Linden Hills, should be using that instead of our streets.
Yes, sir. So we're, again, working very close with that contractor. You bring up a good point, Magnolia, Spiritus Ranch. The city is working very hard, and I know they're going to talk about some of their projects to increase the mobility options through the area. And so we're working to collaborate with them to add these connections in real time to our project. And so hopefully that's going to provide a really great benefit to that area and give another relief.
When are they going to open up Naval?
Well, let's say, isn't Magnolia, the signal supposed to be operating?
Signal
that
is there.
connection? Yeah, but the connection from Linden Hills, I think is supposed to be next month sometime, right?
Yeah, so the northbound part of the signal still has to be constructed because we didn't have the street there, so we had to redesign that area to get that in there. CoServe got their work done as of today. And right now, we're looking at a schedule, looking at the March 11th, that week, of trying to make that happen and opening that section up and all that. So we've got a little bit of work to do on building that signal, getting that signal done. We had some clearance issues between the power lines and that. We didn't have the 10 feet necessary, so it was a safety issue to the light. So we had to get that elevation. You probably saw CoServe out there working and all that. They've got that work done, and but should be the week of the 11th. We should be able to have that completed and that open.
So that'll provide a much more direct route for the construction traffic building the Linden Hills Elementary School.
I would like to get that traffic off of Naval Road in Little Paloma, because like I said, I spend the day going back every day or twice a day straightening up pictures because of all the vibration. That's not good for our houses down there. You guys are not being a good neighbor to the people that live down in the south section of Little Paloma. Those are the only two ways we have out of there. We have to use Naval Road and Villa Paloma. And you guys have just tied up the traffic so bad that it sometimes takes 30 minutes to get from Bell Elementary to past the high school and get onto the traffic.
Talk about Savannah now.
Yes, ma'am.
We all have that story, and it's just incompetence.
Hold on a second. I would beg to differ, okay? I understand you're upset and you're frustrated, and so is a lot of people in this room, and so are a lot of people that travel it every day. But that gets us nowhere. What gets us somewhere is trying to have a conversation today and try to get along and try to put this through the future. I can appreciate your frustration, and believe me, my office gets tons of phone calls. So I want it done as much, if not more, than the people that live here, just because I want you all to feel comfortable about being able to move around your neighborhood, not have your houses your life be disrupted. But to understand, the unfortunate part is that's where we are. That's where we are right now. And this group is trying to fix that. We can't change what wasn't done before. But please realize and respect the group that's here trying to fix that now for the future, okay? So please, just give us that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's responsible for signage on the cross streets? Is that going to be the cities, or is that TxDOT?
So it depends on the cross street. So if it's like a 720 or 423, that's a TxDOT roadway. So it would be TxDOT. If it's a city street coming up to the state highway or US 38 US highway, it would be the local government until a certain point where we would start signing for our intersection. And so the answer is depends. Unfortunately, if there's a particular area, we'd be happy to kind of look at it if there's a concern.
Okay. Yeah, why doesn't it change the lanes that
And if it's part of the construction, it's us. If it's through the construction project, we'll be doing some of those temporary signing and things like that. And if there's a concern, please reach out to us. Our construction staff will definitely, they'll get in the middle of it immediately.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Are there any thoughts, plans about the pedestrian bridge from Braswell to across the street of the Union Park? Because I won't let my son cross 380 right now. We live in Union Park.
Understand.
And even with the raised bridge and everything else for stuff like that, that's still dangerous, because I've seen people run stoplights around here. I've seen people run stop signs. They raise pedestrian bridge like they've got Denton and stuff like that, from Braswell over to Union Park, they'd be a hell of a lot safer.
Yeah, so it's not part of this project. We've got a lot of pedestrian improvements as part of this project that we think is going to improve safety substantially, but it is not part of this project. And so it is something, as we continue to coordinate with our partners through the county and the cities, if that conversation continues to move forward, that, again, TxDOT can be a part of that.
Is Denton ISD involved in that?
I was about to say, Denton ISD should be involved in that, because they're the ones that put this school here against the county's suggestion, the city's suggestion, and everybody else's. Nothing against the Denton ISD. I'm not here to point fingers at Denton, but they are the ones that made the decision to put this school here, which we're now dealing with, okay? And all you citizens are as well. And yes, it is extremely dangerous. I wouldn't let my kid, I wouldn't suggest let anybody's kid. So we're trying to come with a solution, but it's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately. That's the truth.
And Commissioner, just to talk on that, when we were working with the ISD on the school, one of the things we got the district to do is to agree to not have that 2-mile radius restriction for the school buses, because we wanted them to still be able to bus their kids just across the street. And they agreed to do that, but we also knew that there were people that weren't going to take the bus. And so we added a grade separation at $40 million or so to this project, so that at least they can cross it where the main traffic is going over and they're crossing at a signal. So we got them to eliminate the 2-mile radius, and then we put a grade separation in there to minimize it as much as we could.
Which is nice, but nobody's life is worth any of it. Right. We need to put whatever amount of money necessary to make it happen. That's just the reality of it.
Last question on this, and then we'll move on, and then we can circle back.
The slide that you just had up with the that slide, so you called those frontage roads, right?
They're pseudo frontage roads. They're kind of a ramp that ends in an intersection, but kind of what you would expect on a freeway where you exit to a frontage road. Yes.
So in those sections, because they're near the school, is that going to have school enforcement on the 380? We already have enforcement.
The school zones?
Yes.
Something we may have to follow back up. I don't know if it will in the ultimate. That's something we work alongside the city and the school district to establish.
Right, because
that school zone.
In the past, because I brought it up before, and I've been told that the federal highway agency will not allow it, and that's not the case. I've worked with other counties and other states where they've changed federal highways. I believe 380 is a federal highway. And it just is a matter of doing the studies once everything is done.
Right.
So that it can be petitioned and applied for and that change made. So that it can't be done is false, because I've seen it done. I've worked on projects where it's been done in other states and counties. So that is one of the things that I would really want, in order to really, what we're just all talking about, making it safe for the kids that are crossing the 380 at Navo. That is an important piece that needs to be completed.
Yes, ma'am. We'll take note and we'll follow up.
All right. Well, let's move on, and we can certainly circle back. We'll have a Q&A time after the other two topics, but let's circle back, and again, this is going to be kind of just the three of them, Wesley, Travis, and Commissioner Williams, just kind of jump in on the project that you want to talk about, because we tried to list some of the other projects that are kind of in the area, that they're not necessarily directly related to 380, but they are improvements that are happening that will hopefully improve traffic flow in the area. So not exactly sure which one we start with. So who's got the clicker?
Oh, I did.
All right, let's see. We'll just kind of fly by the seat of our pants a little bit on this one. So, all right, Ryan Spiritas Parkway. Wesley, this one is probably. Is this the first one?
It can be the first one, yeah, let's go.
Sure, I'll start off and I'll knock out all the ones I have real quick and then we can roll from there. But we'll start with fish trap. It's fine. The county has, through the trip 22, that was highly successful, 75% of the citizens. And so thank you so much for allowing that bond to go through. Those dollars are going to be spent. A ton of it is in and around the 380 area. Fish trap is one of them. We will be taking care of fish trap from start to finish. We're going to try to widen it. We're going to make it a lot better, but there's only so much we can do when it comes to certain areas because we can't go over the water areas. So fish trap is going to improve dramatically, allowing that traffic that's going to be running east and west. Okay, which I think everybody here will be happy to have that accomplished. That'll allow us to kind of use the back roads, let's call it, to utilize those roads versus staying on 380, which will take some of the traffic off of 380 as well. So,
Is there a date for that?
I'm sorry?
It's a timeline.
A timeline?
Yeah, 2026 is the let date from what if I remember correctly. Is that right?
So the problem, we're working with all the cities along the corridor. We have to deal with some of the Corps of Engineers issues because of the waterways he was talking about. And we are partnering with the cities, and that is, we're going to give you the worst case scenario when we give you a report, right? Because if we say it's faster and we miss it, we get hung in effigy. It's not in reality. So we give you what we think is the programmatic standard answer if things go bad.
So worst case scenario.
Sometimes they do.
Which unfortunately does occur, but we try to stay on top of it. Just mainly for the Little Elm, I want to knock this out real quick for the Little Elm area. The county is going to contribute just close to $20 million in quite a few of the road areas. So that's going to be Hill Lane, it's going to be Oak Grove Parkway, Spiritus Ranch Road, Spiritus Parkway, and a traffic signal at Main Street. So that's just kind of the Little Elm itself. Now let's talk about a little bit of a little broader spectrum. And the county obviously is taking care of the fish trap from Union Park to 1385. And we do work with the cities that have parts of that as well, but the county is absorbing the cost for that, which means you, the citizens, are. I mean, it's not like it's my money, it's your money that I'm trying to use in the right fashion, if that matters, if that makes sense. So when we were talking about partnerships with like TxDOT, what the county does is we try to get roads and things prepared as quickly as possible to get them ready for them to come in and take over. So what that amounts to is we'll usually go through the design phase and utilize the citizens' monies to get to that point where the state will come in and take it quicker, because the way the state operates, and they can probably talk to a little better, but they have certain roads they're going to do, okay? And if the road they're wanting to tackle next is not set up properly, not ready to go, They take their time and their money and they move to the next opportunity. So what Denton County does is we try to partner very well, and we try to have as many roads set up to go as possible. So when we do get that opportunity, occasionally the state comes to us and says, hey, you know, we've got some money and we're ready to move on a road. Do you have something ready? Yeah, we always have multiple ones lined up. So with that said, FM 2931, that design is underway to widen the road to 4 lanes. FM 1385 designed to underway to widen the 6 lanes. 377 to 6 lanes divided. And then all those are going to be ready to let in 2026. Yeah, I understand that's not tomorrow. Please realize this is government. Okay? Government works at a very slow pace. Takes forever to get anything done. I come from the private sector. Believe me, it's been a very unique experience for me to learn to be patient, okay? But I will tell you, just like it said earlier, Denton County and TxDOT do work very well together. John over here is the consultant. His company is the consultant for Denton County. That's why he knows way more than probably just about anybody in the room. That's not being disrespectful. He is younger than he looks. But he's been in this business a long time. So we're in very good hands, I promise you. He gives us very good direction, but he works between helping with this, with the TxDOT, the cities, and the county. And his organization does a great job. And then I think the last thing I just wanted to quickly touch on also is the outer loop. The outer loop project is enormous. It's not going to happen overnight by any means. But in the long run, that's where I was trying to come into office and look to the future over the next 10, 15, 20, and 30 years, because we've all seen all the construction that's going on. All the open land that you think are owned by ranchers is unfortunately a lot of that's owned by developers. And they're going to develop all that land. And so unless we put these roads and these things out there now, or at least start planning for that, we're going to turn a lot of folks over to 380 again. And I don't want to be on my time as a commissioner to look back and people go, yeah, that guy didn't do anything. So that's one of the main focuses I have, is trying to, while I am here for however long that is to really focus on spending our taxpayer dollars on the roads that we will be needing, we need now, and that we'll be needing in the future.
What's this outer loop? Where is it going?
Well, there's not an exact spot yet, because we're going through the feasibility studies
of
it.
Okay, to it, but I mean just generally.
Okay, so we're going to be pretty north of. Give me a good. I don't want to speak wrong.
So
get myself in trouble.
If you drive up.
So give me the wide ride from.
If you drive up D&T, where you're going north into Grayson County, you'll see where Collin County brings that road called the outer loop. That's where they start.
That's where it starts.
We're going to be somewhere north-ish of Aubrey. We have to cross the green belt at 428 because the Corps of Engineers says that's the only place they'll allow us to cross. And then we have to hit Milam Road at 35 because the city of Denton Sturber when it calls for it to be there. We have a project that we're $1 billion railroad project that lets this year starts to build the outer loop box where it ties into 35 at Milam. So Milam, 428, the outer loop where it hits the Collin County line, and whatever we can get in between.
That's your 3 points. That's the 3 points we get to play with. And obviously our biggest thing is to try to displace as little as amount of people as possible.
Right now the outer loop, on all the alternatives that are actually feasible, it's a 23-mile long corridor. We are over 1 million in population, and right now that road displaces 1 person per mile.
It's like, okay, 20.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Right now. That's why but that's why it's so imperative for us to get that handled now and get that right away. And that was one of the first things that we discussed when I came into office is this needs to occur. So, because if we wait more and more years, and again, nothing is TxDOT, but TxDOT wouldn't be paying attention to this at this point. This wouldn't be a vital item on their list. So they would come in probably 8 years from now, maybe 10, and then can you imagine what that road would be doing all kinds of stuff to try to avoid everything. So we're gonna do our part up front, We work with the state very well, and then in the long run, it'll work out a whole lot better. So those are the ones I have. I'll field any questions.
I think that's pretty much them, so if we want to take a few minutes and ask.
Yeah, sure.
Before you leave Fish Trap,
Yeah.
okay, you talked about 1385 to Union Park, okay? And obviously, G Road has been expanded up to basically what they call First Street now, instead of Fish Trap. When are they going to build the second bridge across the Doe Branch to actually make 4 lanes between G Road and 1385? So then you actually have 4 lanes running all the way from 380 all the way to Union Park.
Right. Go ahead.
So the Corps of Engineers. An Aggie, a T-Sipper, and a Corps. The Corps of Engineers, we put across Lake Louisville Toll Bridge, right? And then we put across 2499 all the way up into Denton that had 3 bridges on it. Corps figured out we were going to try to deck the lake. So they passed a regulation that says that we cannot have a roadway that is not considered regionally significant that touches their fee property and cross. So you'll see a lot of roads are going to stop when they hit fee property on the Corps of Engineers unless we can get it like the outer loop, where it's a regionally significant arterial that the Council of Governments designates as regionally significant to cross Corps property. That's the only way we're getting across with the outer loop. So all these other smaller roads, King Road, we've tried to do that in Little Elm. Corps told us no, they will not let us touch their fee property with any roads smaller than a regionally significant arterial. So Fish Trap will never go across Corps property.
He's actually talking about.
No.
Yeah.
Prosper, we're talking about, it's really
I
Prosper.
don't care about Prosper.
Thank God for Prosper, they put those 4 lanes in.
Okay, so we'll work with, we can work with Council of Governments, because we do have the Council of Governments here on Fish Trap, because Fish Trap is a parallel route to 380, and we want a parallel route to 380. So they're gonna help us with that. Going east, not west.
So you don't know anything about timing. We talked about this being maybe starting around 2006.
So look, the reality is we can start tomorrow. We can start tomorrow if we can violate your property rights, not include you in the process, and not care about the environment. But if we have to do all 3 of those things, it takes us a while to get through the regulatory process, and we don't grade our own work. We'll do an environmental document. We'll turn it over to the state. They'll review it, and they've got the federal government looking over their shoulders, and that's only if we're not dealing with the Corps of Engineers too. Then we got to go send it to them, and then they have to review it and come back and make sure we're not killing any snail doggers or dinosaur doggers.
You did a great job building up one beautiful bridge already over there.
Well, Al, actually, if,
So there was a lot of bridges built back in the day that can't be built that way anymore.
now, Al, if you go look at Prosper's capital improvement website, they show the other 3 lanes, the whole G project going across.
They're getting that
But
money
it's
from the county.
2026.
They're getting that from the
Yeah,
county.
the money's coming from
The county,
all of us.
Yeah.
the county's paying for that, and what we're gonna do, because 423 has a grade separation at 380, we're gonna de-emphasize 1385. We're gonna emphasize 423, so as you're coming north, if you want to continue going north, you'll take G Road, and G Road will become 1385, and we'll de-minimize 1385 so that fewer people will hit the 380 at that place and hit it at the grade separation, in theory.
I think that's what she's talking about, is that curve where it's gonna.
The G Road, right. So we're gonna build that as a local street, but we're gonna build it to state standards. We're not gonna give it to them because they won't take it. But we're gonna build it 6 lanes, just like you would a normal freeway. It's gonna look you're gonna look like you're on 423 till you're on 1385, but it'll be called G Road.
Couple more questions about
It's
these.
gonna do the curve up. You're gonna go 423, cross 380, G Road, up 1385. It's all be one road. At 423 and 380.
All right, well, let's move on.
Yeah, just real quick, sorry. So my chief administrator is here, and she's really the one that does the best job of running the whole office. I just get to stand up here and act like I know some things, and then I have guys like that know everything. I tell you, the way to be successful is surround yourself with great people, and you'll be successful. But we do put out monthly a kind of an overview of what's going on within the county, Precinct 1, the area I'm responsible for, which is where most of you live. And it'll tell you what the roads are, the road projects, where they are, when, what the expected dates are for X, Y, and Z. So if you want to, and there's nothing else sent to you other than this. I'm not trying to get your email for any other reason. I don't use it for any of my campaign stuff, because I hate campaigning anyway. But if you'll give her that information, she'll make sure to put it on your email address on there, and we'll send that out to you, okay? And it is updated based on what TxDOT gives us and what we get from our other partners that are with our smaller roads that we're doing as well. So thank you all. I really appreciate it again, and hopefully you got some good information, and these guys are doing a great job as well. I'll be around here if you need some other questions later, though.
Thank you, sir. All right, well, let's switch gears. We've talked a lot about the construction and what's to come as far as the transportation flow and the mobility, but let's talk to the guy with the gun, and let's talk about enforcement. So this is our police chief for the Town of Little Elm. This is Chief Rodney Harrison. He's going to walk through kind of some of the enforcement partnerships and some of the agencies that we work with. We also, as you saw earlier, we had a representative from the city of Prosper here, and then the chief from the city of Aubrey is here as well. So Chief, we'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit about the jurisdictions and how you work together with the region to make sure you're keeping it safe.
Just make sure that we don't have anything in our hands, okay? Because I don't want to get stoned while I'm up here talking. Everybody agree? We're okay with that? Greg, you got my back up there? Dave, you got me? All right. I'm not going to make any bones about it. It's probably one of the toughest police jobs that I've ever been associated with. And this is the reason why. I mean, take a look at it. Look where East University runs through, and look at all the different jurisdictions that has some piece of the pie. Now, Little Elm has majority of just about all the roadway. Okay, there's no doubt about that. But every day, it's a moving target for us. What I mean by that is we come in and something new has happened on the construction side of the house, or something didn't go exactly the way somebody wanted something to go. So then we have to punt and figure out where to do it. Don't stone me when I tell you this, okay? Everybody thinks that this road is dangerous, correct? Yeah. How many wrecks do you think we had on 380 last year? How many? How many?
700.
Less.
400.
Less.
250.
Pretty close. How many cars did they tell you travels down this roadway every day?
65,000.
I'm not a mathematician, okay? But you do the math on it, okay? 2022, we had a lot more wrecks out there, but the speed limit was moving a lot quicker. We didn't have all the construction kind of at the state that it is now. So what we do is, and Chief, you're the number one person that created a lot of this, but Chief has brought all these jurisdictions together where we as chiefs sit down and we have meetings, we talk about different strategies of what we can do, because they have problems on 1385, they have problems at 2931. Everyone is affected in some shape, form, or fashion because of what we have going on 380. It's nobody's fault. I stopped a car on the way over here, okay? And I know that's hard to believe, police chief making traffic. I didn't know how to make the ticket writer work, though. I couldn't figure out how to make the ticket writer work. But I'll tell you that the guy that I stopped drove the road every day, and he was just frustrated because I wasn't going fast enough to get out of his way. So he decides, and I'm in an unmarked Tahoe. If you can't tell it's a police car with all the lights and the antennas on top, it looks like a porcupine, okay? But this guy was just frustrated, and that's what we have going on with our citizens. You get frustrated, you lose your cool. That's how the majority of our fist fights start. Somebody gets mad and they throw a punch at somebody instead of cooling off. It's the same thing with our traffic. But I can tell you, we have our partners with our police chiefs and our local agencies that help us. We have our partners with TxDOT, okay? They hear our concerns, they listen to us. What he's telling you here tonight is the truth. He's not sandbagging. He may not know the answer, but he's going to go find it out. He's going to give you some feedback, because that's what they do for us. They have contractors that work for them. And then we have the school district here also works with us. Late December, I guess, roughly, at the direction of our council, we sent some letters to both TxDOT and the school district about what we saw as some issues and things that we were hearing from our citizens that were calling in and were concerned. And a lot of it all results around this intersection right outside this school. It's a nightmare to try to figure out how we're going to get those kids across the road, because number one, they're kids. You can beg them all the, I've raised 3 of them myself, okay? And you can beg them to do the right thing and follow the directions and go to the crosswalk, but there's always going to be that one that's going to say, no, I don't have time to go do this, or I have to do something else, and it's going to get us in a bad situation. But basically, TxDOT came in and helped us by putting up a temporary orange fence, which then there's a ditch next to that, and then there's some concrete next to that. So if a kid wants to go across the roadway, they can still actually do it, but they have to travel some distance to get to it. We also have put police officers out there working before school and after school. We're not there every day, but when we can be there, we're there to try to stop kids. We've issued a few citations for breaking the law, okay, for crossing and not at a designated point. I hate writing tickets to kids, but if you're a repeat offender, you're probably going to get a ticket. It's going to happen. We've asked the school district to put up signs reminding folks, hey, if you don't see the sign and you're not smart enough to follow it, you know, I mean, we can't fix some of that sometimes. The other thing is they've launched a media campaign inside the building reminding people. The staff here at the school has been very responsive, working with our SROs and working with me and our council members to remind kids. I've seen the assistant principal outside many days trying to herd kids. But it's kind of like being a police chief. You herd cats all day long, okay? And that's exactly what it is, because they get a mind of their own. But we do have a good group of folks that are trying to make a difference here. It's not going to be better tomorrow, and it's not going to be better the next day. We've got to look on down the line. We've got a lot more growing to do as far as this project and what we're going to have to do. The number one thing is keep your cool when you're on the roadway, okay? You have to keep cool. And number 2, how many of y'all use social media? Good amount of folks use social media. There's one guy that you're my fan already because you shook your head no, I don't use it. Facebook is not the police department. Contrary to popular belief, you can't report crimes to Facebook. Because if so, about 4 days later, somebody says, hey chief, you ought to go look at this, and you look at it, and you miss something that we really probably need to put our attention to. Same thing with traffic problems. When we see a problem, you know, call us. If there's a problem with the road grade, it may not even be my city or my town, but call me, and then I can turn around and I can call chief, or I can call whoever else. I mean, that's what we need to do, but waiting on it, getting mad about it's not helping. Drop it to us. If we miss something and we don't catch it, hit us again to remind us. Okay? Thank you.
That's what we have prepared as far as the topics with enforcement, with construction, what's to come. So we have a few minutes left. I think we've got about 20 minutes left with the room just for the group to ask questions, and I'll kind of call on people, and then whoever is the relevant responder, please just give us some information. Yes, ma'am.
So back in December, I saw the enforcement. That was a result of the council meeting that we had a month before, and there were some, as you mentioned, some warnings issued, some citations issued to students. In one of the updates that I received through email on that was that once weather improved, we were going to have officers again
monitoring the NAVO side and the 380 side where the restaurants are. I haven't seen any officers out there like I did in December. And the reason why I bring it up is when school lets out or at the beginning of school, the students are not using a crosswalk because there isn't one. So one, is TxDOT going to put a temporary markings for a sidewalk, because the students right now are literally crossing in between cars in front of the school buses, creating congestion, because if the light is green but you have a herd of students crossing in front of you, you're not going to go. So that creates a huge backup all the way down to the stop sign. I don't know what the street is, but so something needs to be done there, and I did see an improvement when the officers were there in December. So I think.
So let me answer that question for you, okay? I'm not going to tell you that we're there every day, but when we can be there, we're there. They have directions to be there, but if we get an emergency call somewhere else, we have to make the decision of the hierarchy, you know, of where we're going to go and what we're going to do, okay? I can tell you, we're at the point now that when we're out there, okay, they don't cross the roadway. It's like trying to catch people speeding. They see us sitting on the side of the roadway, and they're going to slow down as they go past us, and as soon as they get past us, they go as fast as they can to make up that lost time. But it is still a committed effort from us to do it, to be out there, and we will do that throughout this project. But it still resorts around to, you know, if we get a wreck somewhere, we get something else happen, we have to do it. And as far as the crosswalk business, I think that's always a moving target that I think it's going to constantly be having to be worked on and redirected based off the needs of what's going on. Right. It seems like every kid that gets out of school here wants to go to the convenience store as soon as they get out. But at the same time, you put some of that, I'm going to get beat up a little bit by parents. But if parents tell their kids they're going to pick them up at the convenience store, the kids are going to go there, as opposed to going through the school line. We've got to have some help from parents too on that. Did I step on your
No, that's absolutely right. I think Mike's correct. We've got the crosswalk there at NAVO, right? And there's temporary accommodations that we're adding. So we want to make sure we continue to encourage folks to use NAVO, because that's where the signal's at. We need them to cross at the signal, because that's where the traffic is forced to stop. And so that's what we got to keep getting that message. That was help with the fencing and some of the signage, and we've got the pedestrian button there. Realize it gets heavy.
I left out one thing I'd like to throw back in. The district has plans that once the project is finished, then they will install permanent fencing on their property to help cut that down. We don't know what that's going to look like. It all still has to be designed. I do have commitments from the district that they will establish permanent, some type of ornamental fencing once all that's taken care of.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's responsible for the timing of the crosswalks, the buttons they push and things like that? And who's responsible for TxDOT being responsible for the actual stoplight, the crosswalks themselves? Because the timing is not right. It blinks for 3 seconds, and those kids aren't even halfway across. And it's blinking red. People are trying to turn right. And the one on the side between the gas stations is not supposed to be there.
Okay.
They use it anyways.
So right now it's going to be TxDOT or your contractor, right? So I see him taking notes. That'll be something that he'll take note of and check in on. Thank you. Yes, sir. The blue shirt.
Yeah. So we live in Valencia. Is there going to be a light on 380 and Doe Creek? Because we would love to go to Little Elm more, but it's really hard. So we end up going to Prosper or Frisco, because to get to the other side of Little Elm, we have to go through Frisco down 423. We would love to go the other way down 380.
Right.
But is there going to be? I don't know if it's TxDOT that's going to put the light, or if it's City of Little Elm.
It would be TxDOT approved, but right now there's not a light plan for that as a project, right?
Doe Creek Road.
But once 380 is done, it is going to be so convenient just to go left on 423 and then come into. Yes, sir.
What's the timeline for the overpasses? You got the 5 overpasses?
Yeah.
2 years on the.
Yeah, so we should start seeing, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but 720 is imminent, right? In the next 2 to 3 months?
Yep.
So we'll start 720 first, and then as we switch to phase 2, that's going to allow us to work on the north side of the road that will open up the area for the interchanges in the middle. So they're toward the end. again, with the caveat that we are working very closely with the contractor to pull some of that work up sooner. And so we're hoping to try to get things going in the next year on the other interchanges.
But you're gonna alternate them, right?
We'll try to do as many, but 720's first. We'll start working our way east. Unless we're successful in some of these traffic control modifications, you might see some of them sooner than that.
But end of 2025, is that what we're saying?
Roughly, once we go to phase 2, it'll be about a year until we go to phase 3, which opens up that middle. And so that's that key. You know, we talked about a lot of the timing. We got to keep everybody moving along the corridor, and so we got to open up these work areas.
Sir in the red shirt?
It's been significantly better, opening those lanes from G to Teal, those 4 lanes, that's been great, that stoplight, but when you come on the 480, on the 380, you come on the 380, you get to Teal, if you could do a right turn lane, even now, just gravel, where you make a right turn to get onto Teal so you could get to Prosper, you can get through there and get to First Avenue, that would be significantly helpful.
So that you're saying eastbound?
You're westbound,
Westbound.
380. If you could, they have one on Legacy, but they don't have one on Teal.
So I'll kind of hit turn lanes in general. So turn lanes is a topic we talk about constantly. We talk about it for years in design and probably every day in construction. So the thing we got to balance is every turn lane we keep in operation, it extends construction duration. It's space that the contractor could be working in. So that's one of those things like the signal timing that we're in a constant balancing act to see, you know, to manage the traffic and the turning movements, but also give our contractor a place to work so they can progress that job. So we'll take a look. Again, we're taking notes for all these concerns, and we're trying to get these turn lanes operational everywhere we can. And then again, we're pivoting. If we see something's not working, we're going to try to change.
Everything you can do to get traffic off 380 would help.
Yep.
That would significantly let people go there.
10-4.
So then, now when you're on First Avenue or First Trap, Fish Trap, you're on Fish Trap and you're headed to the 1385. That 1385 curves. They had talked about making that straight. If you could put in a temporary road to get all that traffic off Fish Trap and put it over there and let that traffic move, that would help a lot.
We can look at that. I think we've got LTRA doing that work.
Yes, we're working on that project as we speak and trying to push that.
I see these temporary, gravel roads.
And John hit it a minute ago. A lot of it's property. We've got to purchase the property and move those utilities.
Even if you lease it from those people.
Yeah,
sir.
Yeah, might be off the thing, but I live up of 720 in Martop, and I'm just wondering, is there any plans for a light there? I've been living out there for 8 years, and when I bought the house, they told me, oh yeah, they're gonna put a light up there. Well, I'm gonna get old and die and finish that light.
720 in Martop. Yeah, so I think that's City of Oak Point. We'll have to go back and look and see if we've done a study. So those signals have to be warranted, and so we'll do those studies occasionally at the city's request to see if they warrant. If they do warrant, then that's when they kind of go on that
This
list.
light is in Little Elm.
Is
It
it
would
Little
be
Elm?
in Little Elm.
Where is it?
One way or the other,
Okay,
we'll find
we'll
out.
take a look.
Yep.
I got it.
Sir?
My question is,
That's
some of
what
the
I
people are in Denton County, but Collin County was way quicker to build their roads out. I was just wondering what the story
If you look at Collin County, if you drove 5 minutes east of 75, you're going to be where dragons live. They've only built 1/3 of their county. We've built from county line to county line, county line to county line. I just was at the Council of Governments on Friday, and they said on this next mobility plan, because the county's done such a good job building all of its roads instead of just 1/3 of their roads, we're going to outpace, unfortunately, Collin County in the next mobility plan. We're going to have more population than they are. So they've only built 1/3 of their county. There's a big giant hole in their county where cows are more populous than people.
So I'm guessing you're not their consultant. Sir, I believe we have one.
I think that one thing is frustrating for everybody is you come up these major intersections and yeah, they'll move it over and they'll do one little strip of lane
here, and then they don't do anything for a month or 2 or 3, and then they do another little part, and whatever. Why don't they just finish that intersection and get it done to where the traffic can move and stuff like that a lot better? It just looks like a total chaos on whoever's trying to schedule all this. And then you go back down to another one, and nobody's working on any of that down there. Now they're working on that, but nobody's working on this. So what's going on?
Yeah, there's no doubt. We are pushing that contractor to get out there and work as quickly as we
He doesn't
can.
have enough crews out there.
And we're continuing to push them to get out and work more and continue to push the project forward, and we are. And so it's kind of, again, without going into all the nuts and bolts again, there's a lot of underground work that's going on. It's a 10-mile corridor that we gotta get, you know, one side of it somewhat complete. So it does look like chaos, but to our mind, you know, those little strips play a very important piece in the puzzle later on in the traffic control. It's a very, again, it's a dance to keep everybody moving through the project, but build meaningful pieces of the project. And so you got to get enough work for that contractor to get some momentum and get those crews mobilized. And so there's a lot of that you see, especially in the first year of the project, as we get everything mobilized and get some of that drainage in.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I worked in construction with private companies.
Thank you, guys.
They coordinate everything a lot better, I think.
Yes, sir.
All right, way in the back.
So I just want to express my gratitude. I appreciate you guys taking time for us tonight and the hard work that you're doing. It's a massive undertaking, and I'm sure just even trying to get people employed that'll come out and do the hard work that's being done. So thank you. My second question, I apologize for my ignorance, but I'm wondering if this is part of the project. A lot of these businesses, as we kind of go down, we try to go in at nighttime. The entrances coming off of 380 are difficult for me to see. I got new glasses, but they're still not very well marked. Some of them are, there's no reflection paint, no color differentiations. Oftentimes there's a piece of concrete and a ditch.
Yeah.
And I haven't hit it yet. But I'm curious to have a part of the improvement project as we're going through, or whose responsibility is that? The businesses, or is that, whatever? I don't know.
It'll kind of be a lot of folks, I mean, there'll be, depends on if it's a new property that's being developed, if it's part, something that TxDOT has disturbed under that process. But I think that the simple answer, and if I need any details, because I really am just like kind of making this up, so they'll tell me if I'm wrong. But the whole project is going to have great lighting. And that'll be one of the last things, is it'll all be lit, it'll all be striped, and so that will have to do with the entrances. But as far as any specific lighting at business entrances, I mean, probably not unless it's a major intersection, but I think the whole lighting and the striping of the entire corridor
I think he's
should
talking
make
about
that.
during construction.
Are you talking during construction?
The transition
Yeah.
between the business and the work that's going on.
Yeah, it's just hard to see.
Just coming off of 380.
Okay.
Kind of little business park or whatever, there's little strip malls along the way. Those little things, a lot of times there's just a ditch,
Right.
a little piece of concrete. And like even the new one by McDonald's, there's like a little wedge thing trying to just drive traffic, but it is exactly the same color as the concrete, and it looks like it's been driven over a couple of times.
Okay.
I don't know how much air they caught when they hit it. But
Right. So you're talking about during the construction?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Is that part of the construction is to make sure that they, just those initial entrances,
Right.
into anything to have some kind of.
That's something we can look at too.
We'll look at it. We'll look at the McDonald's as an
Like
example.
red paint, yellow paint, reflective,
Yeah.
black paint, something, a curb, that's differentiated to allow people to, when they come in, to be able to see that a little bit better. At nighttime, it's the hardest.
Yeah.
Understood.
No, that's great feedback.
Yes, sir.
So I live in Savannah between 1385 and 423, and that's like super congested. You can see it coming down, you can see red lights all the time. You got HEB coming in, you got Costco coming in. Are y'all halting any of those constructions, like from the companies that are coming in until some of this kind of gets relieved? Because we're gonna have people from Frisco, Aubrey, and everywhere else coming to those HEB and the Costco.
Right. Right. It is a challenge, and the HEB right there, that's a Frisco store, and then the Costco, I believe, is a Prosper store, right? So that's where we get in, and I think we got a question about that, along similar lines. Who approves, these projects that are coming in during this time? And I guess the simple question is, there's not a lot that cities can really do to stop those things. If there's the appropriate zoning in place, and if there's, as long as they meet the design standards and the development standards of the city, putting a moratorium on growth is extremely difficult in the state of Texas. And I think trying to do so to handle road construction would not be something that would be eligible for that. And I think anytime there is that rare occurrence where you can put a moratorium on growth, I think it's like, is it a 6 month? You can do it for 6 months, then it has to be re-reviewed.
And
So
it has something to do with water.
right. So a lot of it is just, if there's a piece of property that's appropriately zoned for the use that is going to happen, there's not a lot that any of the municipalities can do about it. I think.
Does that include all the apartment complexes that are suddenly popping up?
So that's another one too. The apartment complexes in the region have been a challenge as well. I think that the Little Elm Town Council stance on apartments and multifamily on 380 has been what is there for vested rights is enough. But that's where you kind of get into a challenge, is there's this issue called vested rights of different projects, and prior to annexing in a city, if there was some kind of site plan or something like that was submitted to somebody, that means that property owner, that developer has the right to do that use, and if a city tried to stop it, we would lose in court. And so I know I can't speak for the other communities, I can't speak for, Frisco, Prosper, any of them. I can say from Little Elm that in the last decade, they've approved one apartment complex that didn't already have vested rights, and that was the apartment complex that was part of the master plan of the Union Park development. But everything else that has developed, at least in Little Elm, had pre-existing vested rights back when they were in the county. So.
Is that the one that had the tax deferred?
They had a hearing on that. No, that one's still part of the.
Did that fall down?
I think that senior living proposed project in Union Park, that's still moving forward with hearings, isn't it?
Well, from what I heard is that they couldn't get, because it's a tax, non-tax. They pulled it from the submittal.
Okay.
But I believe they're going to resubmit it, and it had to do with the time constraints. So they didn't have enough time to get to the point they needed to get the, I think the bond or something to start the project. So they pulled it, and my understanding is that they're going to be resubmitting it, but it hasn't. It's on pause right now.
That's something, if you're a Union Park resident, certainly pay attention to that. I know it fits into the overall density that was approved for the Hillwood Agreement back in 2012, but it does have some deviation. But that's a great example, whether it's the Costco, the H-E-B, the McDonald's, the apartment complex, a lot of it is a challenge because Texas is a very strong property rights state, right? And so we've got this situation where you've got all of these different jurisdictions, all of these different cities, unincorporated area, developers are building. Both commercial and residential and multifamily developers are developing along the corridor and in the region. And that growth has just been, Commissioner Williams is exactly right. We unfortunately do not move at the pace that many of us wish we did in government because of many of the things that Mr. Polster mentioned earlier. So a lot of times that development is able to outpace the infrastructure that follows it. And so I think what we're seeing now is just this explosion of growth that's unprecedented in this area, and the public entities are trying to keep up and catch up. Yes, sir.
Is Legacy and 380, is that Denton County? Is that in Denton County?
It's in Denton County.
And then what about when Legacy goes to First Street?
I'm not sure, but it does eventually curve into Collin County.
Because we don't have enough streets going north-south, 423. They opened Legacy, that's a blessing, where if it could go to First Street, I see a bridge that they're building on First Street. I don't know what's going on there.
The Legacy is planned to go up to First Street.
Yeah, I mean, that would really take a lot of that traffic out of 423. So that's a real positive.
It's Prosper, and yes, they are going.
Yeah, it is
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, so kind of on this point, north and south, and you talk about mobility, partnerships with everybody, and so Ryan's spirit is you've kept, that it's cut off. So you either got to go to 720 to turn left, which is going to be where the bus barns are. So you're putting all those kids to that intersection, but you basically have halted the access to get to Ryan's Spirit's to cut back to the west or the southwest.
Yeah.
To people to use the bridge.
So I do have an update on that. So there's one piece of that connection that has to be made between what the developer is responsible for building and what TxDOT's already built. And they're doing it along with the Denton ISD Elementary School that's under construction. So they're supposed to have that built before June.
Before June?
Before June, yeah. It definitely has to be in before school opens.
Right.
But that connection to Ryan Spiritus Parkway will give a really good relief path for people on 380 to get down to Oak Grove.
Right, so it's Denton holding it up, is what it's Denton ISD?
No, it's just the way the timing between the Spiritus Ranch developer and Denton ISD and TechStot, just the timing of all that works just playing out that way.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to commend Commissioner Williams. We met a couple of years ago. And I don't know if any realtors are here. I don't want to offend them. I know the gentleman left you mentioning Collin County is building their roads at a much faster rate than Denton County. I would advise them to Google 385 pass. And with that being said, the outer loop, I know that's your baby. Is anything being done to deter realtors and developers from building residential areas along, I guess, the road of what will be the outer loop?
Well, as you can imagine, right now, they're all guessing, trying to figure out where the outer loop's gonna be because they all wanna buy up the land all up and down it, because obviously the financial gains for the future. It'll be sold by the square foot, not by the acre. And so, you know, like somebody said earlier, you can't control what can and can't be done when it comes to people's property. Obviously, that's what's great about Texas, quite frankly. I mean, I live in an unincorporated area, and I get calls all the time. People want me to do this or that, and you know, you show up and you're talking to them at their house, and they want me to tell their neighbor what they shouldn't be doing. But then I'm like, yeah, but you want your neighbor to tell me what you shouldn't be doing? You know, so it's just kind of part of the deal. But obviously, I am pro having at least 1 to 2.5 acre lots, especially out in the more rural areas. I don't like high density. We have enough of it, but some areas need to have, you know, as much as we hate them, you've got to have some apartment complexes for certain people. I think we have plenty, probably too many, because it's so expensive to live in and around this area. Folks can't live close to where they work, so then everybody ends up on 380 driving from Dallas or Fort Worth or wherever they're working to their home. So obviously we have to have some kind of affordable housing, but I'm by no means do I like density. So I sit with every developer I can when they're coming into the county to do developments and have a conversation with them of what they're trying to obtain and what their goals are. And fortunately, I have good working relationships with them, and we do try to make it where it's not all 50 by 80 lots, or you know, the neighbor can pass the butter through the window to each other. I mean, you know, really, that's what we're trying to do. So we'll see. We'll see how we've been successful with quite a few of the developers because there's so much land that will be developed. Developers don't want to get on the bad side of the county or cities, because then, you know, we can make it even more difficult. We can't stop it, but you can make it difficult. But that's not what we're looking to do. We want to have good relationships, good partnerships. What happened on 380 should have never happened. The developers there, which everybody should know who developed some of that stuff, that was an absolute disaster, should have never occurred the way they did it. Anyway, my 2 cents. Thank you for the question, sir.
So I think we're kind of running out of time for the room. We will, several of us will stick around to answer questions. If there's a question that you sent in that we did not answer in some way, shape, or form, we will email that back to you. But I just want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you for giving your time. I want to thank our partners with the county, the state. Commissioner Williams, thank you for your time. Thank you for all the police agencies. And thank you very much to Little Elm Town Council for championing this event. Councilman Evans, I know this was a big priority for you for District 5, and thank you guys for your time. But let's give these folks a round of applause. If there's any questions that we can answer, please don't hesitate to email us.